Hello and welcome to Hornbill TV's News Pulse. I'm Akivito. Along with Tripura and Meghalaya, Manipur today celebrated its statehood golden jubilee today at the 1st Battalion Manipur Rifles Parade Ground, Imphal. In a video message on the occasion, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi congratulated the people of the state. Praising the people of the state, he said that resilience and unity of the Manipuri people in the face of ups and downs of their history is their true strength. PM Modi also paid his tributes to the sacrifices and efforts of each and every person who has contributed in the state's journey. Stating that Manipur deserves peace and freedom from bunds and blockades, he further expressed happiness that the state and its people could fulfill this desire for peace.
मणिपुर के युवाओं के पोटेंशियल को देखते हुए ही राज्य को देश का स्पोर्ट्स पावर हाउस बनाने का बीड़ा हमने उठाया है। देश की पहली नेशनल स्पोर्ट्स यूनिवर्सिटी की स्थापना के पीछे यही सोच है। खेल को, खेल से जुड़ी शिक्षा, खेल प्रबंधन और तकनीक को प्रोत्साहित करने के लिए ये बहुत बड़ा प्रयास है। स्पोर्ट्स ही नहीं, स्टार्टअप्स और एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के मामले में भी मणिपुर के युवा कमाल कर रहे हैं।
Speaking as the chief guest of the occasion, Chief Minister Shri N. Biren Singh wished the people of the state on the Golden Jubilee celebrations. He said the day is observed across the state in all districts. However, unfortunately, due to COVID, there are certain restrictions in the public gathering. The Chief Minister said that the attainment of statehood on 21st January 1972 was a landmark in the history of our people. It fulfilled a long-cherished dream to empower ourselves to shape our own destiny within the framework of the Constitution of India. Since then, he said, we have had an eventful journey of progress and development.
Magi award tamakak ekoi ikai khumnaba uchi aduguma mathogda puning changba mathogda kathokpa aduguma officer sing ekoina recognition tawum thoi haidana khalakanda ekoi 15 August ki the PC raina tawbuni aduguma mase ekoina khanarga sumaina statehood day state ki oiba aduguma officer singi honor tawba tangai phadabasi statehood day si dai tawrasi haidana tawraga ngasi pijabani once again ekoi government sina makha tana dum mathogda puning changba praja ki damuta kathoga thabuk tawba quality mental tawba matam ngakpa mathau masak khangba officer sing regularly ekoi ikai khumnaba utpasi statehood day.
As part of the Golden Jubilee celebration, Chief Minister Shri N. Biren Singh released a commemorative postage stamp of the 50th year of Manipur's statehood. PhD Executive Engineer Shri Chamdanlung Rongmai was also awarded for his dedication and effort in the successful implementation of the Prime Minister's Jal Jeevan mission in Kamjong district. And now joining me in the newsroom, we have a senior news analyst, Sir Albert Muli, who's going to be joining us, and we are going to be talking more on the developments of these three states who have just celebrated their 50th statehood day. So thank you so much for joining me on this occasion. Coming straight to the questions, sir, today three northeastern states, the Meghalaya, Manipur and Tripura are celebrating its 50th statehood day. Well, when it comes to them having gotten the statehood factor, and also how do we evaluate the terms of development in these states, and especially when it comes to education, health, economy, etc.?
Yeah, Akivi. I think the question is a little bit wide when we talk especially about economic structures like welfare, infrastructure, and even their local economies. We'll need a lot of data on that, but I'll just give an outline of their progress so far. Meghalaya, I think Meghalaya, Manipur, Meghalaya and Tripura, they have been at the forefront of welfare for the past 5 years, and then there is Manipur, the one state we know as the powerhouse of sports talent in India. And so far, since the ruling dispensation in Tripura and Manipur, the BJP, they have been doing a very good job on the welfare front. Meghalaya too, I think they are promoting I think they are building on their administrative capability right now. They're focusing more on the borders. But right now, as they celebrate their statehood, right now, they are also facing elections. And the priority for them right now is not how much they have built over the past 5 years, but how extensive their targets will be in the coming 5 years, especially with the state elections nearing the corner.
All right, so Prime Minister Narendra Modi, while addressing the people of Manipur on their statehood day, had stressed on the fact that he wants to make Manipur as the sporting powerhouse of the country. So when it comes to Manipur, like, what could some of the reasons be? Because they are emerging as one of the hotspots of emerging sporting personalities.
Yeah, it's very interesting, Akivi, that because the Prime Minister kept referring to Manipur as the powerhouse of sports, and I think that is something we do not doubt. If we go into data and if we go into the stats, I think it'll take a little bit of time again. So I'll just talk about why Manipur is a sporting talent, is a sports house of talent, just like the Prime Minister said. And I'm going to talk about it from a very cultural perspective. Way back in 1988, Dingo Singh, I think, was probably the first Indian sportsman to win an international boxing medal, I mean. And he won a gold medal in the 1988 Asian Games, and we were cheering back then. And I remember reading about this person called Dingo Singh, winning a gold medal somewhere from outside the country, in a foreign country. So anyway, sporting in Manipur is not just an activity, Akivito. It's not a competitive thing. It's not a competitive event. It's not a thing for discipline. It's a cultural thing, actually. If you look at Manipur, you go in, there will be like hundreds and hundreds of boxing gyms and training schools run by governments. You have community run schools on boxing, you have community run schools on athletics and running. You have a lot of sports infrastructure there. Now, boxing, we have Dingo Singh, we have Mary Kom, we have all these accomplished boxers who have won international acclaim. And it's no wonder that Manipur is big in boxing, because every nook and corner in Manipur apparently seem to have a boxing gym or the other. And you talk about martial arts, it's right there. They have Tangta. It's the traditional martial arts of the Manipuri people. You have polo. Before polo became an international Olympic sport, polo was part of their cultural system. It was in their culture. So what I mean to say is here is that sports is wired in their brains. It's in their culture. So they don't see sports as an activity. They see it as a form of expression of their talent, of their prowess and strength. I give it.
All right. So 5 states are going to be going on assembly elections from the month of Feb, and the counting date will be on March 10th. Now, among all the political rallies that all the leaders are addressing, one, or rather the two word that we've been hearing constantly is the double engine government. So do you think that this term double engine government will actually help the BJP get some votes in Manipur?
Yeah, I think that's one thing we all are thinking about, Akivi, right now. When you're talking of double engine, I think it might be also an election tool for political parties to use, and especially they use it to influence voters also. I don't know. But one thing is very sure. Traditionally, states that go into elections have seen winners that traditionally are from the ruling dispensation. And I think this is because the ruling dispensation, they always have control of the administrative process, especially during elections. But aside from that, I think, for example, Manipur has done a wonderful job on the welfare front, on sports, and even the local economy too. They are doing a wonderful job. So whether they are in control of the electoral process, at least within the state, and meeting meeting and using the administrative tools that is required to run the electoral process. Whether or not they have it, I think they have done a very good job, the BJP-led government in Manipur, and that will help them, of course, sway the electoral opinion in their favor also. And when we talk of economic development, Manipur is projected to reach about rupees 376 billion in 2021. It was projected also a little while earlier, which is about 5.19 billion. So even the gross domestic product is very high among the northeastern states. So whether they are in control of the government or not, whether it's the double engine development vehicle that they're driving or not, I think they're going to fare quite well, because at the end of the day, the people are going to look at the results of what the government has done. They're not going to look at the election slogans. They're going to look at what you have done for the people at the community level, at the developmental level, in healthcare, in education, sports, welfare. Yes, Akivi.
All right, so in the past few months, we've seen a spate of central leaders, also union ministers and cabinet ministers, and also ministers of state, independent charges. They've come to the Northeast and have stressed that the government at the center really wants to develop the Northeast. And all right, so in this regard, sir, how important are the Northeastern states in India's implementation of the Act East policy?
Act East policy. The importance of the northeastern states in the government of India's Act East policy is not just something that is important, Akivi. In fact, it's not just important. The northeastern states are the point of reference for meeting the goals of the Act East policy itself. It's not just important. They are it. They themselves are the goals of it, because through the Act East policy, the government of India wants to strengthen the structure of its foreign policy. Akivi, here you're practically saying, we are going to use these northeastern areas, these provinces, to project the personality of India's international caliber to the Southeast Asian states. They are not going to use this as a landing ground for development only. What the government of India wants to do is, by developing the northeastern states and connecting them to the Southeast Asian countries and developing the area, they want to put up an image of India's caliber and strength through the northeast region. So the importance it should not be understated, because, like I said, they are itself the point of reference. So if this Act East policy works, it means that there will be economic cooperation through the northeast region with the Southeast Asian countries. There will be strategic partnership, economic growth, and all of this will be focused with the northeastern states as the conduit of all. Akivi.
All right. So my last question would be this. As we know, Manipur is going to polls in the next month, and Tripura will be going early next year. So as we know, both these states, in Manipur, the Congress government had been ruling, but in 2017, when the state assembly elections happened, it was BJP who was able to form the government in the state of Manipur for the first time. Now, when you talk about Tripura, in their 2018 state assembly elections, it was the Communist Party that was actually ruling Tripura for all this while. And all of a sudden in 2018, the BJP formed the government. And now both these states elections are on the table. So do you think that central leaders visiting them, and especially Prime Minister Narendra Modi, after he reaches the state just before the assembly polls, do you think that his presence could actually change the voting habits of people?
That's an interesting question, but a difficult one to answer, Kiwi here. There will be a lot of factors here that will involve in the shaping of opinion of the voters during the elections in Tripura and Manipur. And of course, like in non-BJP dispensations like Meghalaya, of course. Now, the question here is, it's not just about, people are not going to look at just the face of the party. They're not going to look at icons here. Like I said, of course, there will be people who will say, oh, because of this chief minister or because of this prime minister or because of this party I'm going to vote this or that. But like I said, at the end of the day, no matter who comes in, they will be voting on the premise of who has done more work. They're going to make comparisons. They might not be long term. They might be working on the calculations in short term memories. They might be remembering the Congress, or they might be remembering only the PJP. But of course, the visit of the prime minister will be a very big moral booster to the party's workers, and which will be manifest in the behavior of the workers in the constituency, in the communities. So of course it will help to a little bit of an extent, but I do not really think that one person can sway an entire population's vote there. And like I said, we have been talking about the double engine vehicle in Manipur, and how the party is going to use development as one of the vehicles to push the voters to their side. So here we have got 2 or 3 factors working. First, it will be the image of the prime minister to some extent, but mostly it will be what the government of Manipur or Tripura have done during the past 2 and 3 years for the people that will really work in their favor, if at all it does. Akiving.
All right, sir. That was our senior news analyst, Sir Albert Muli, who just shared with us his point of view in the oncoming elections in Manipur, and also the elections that is to be held next year, early next year in Tripura. Thank you, sir, for sharing us your view. And that was Sir Al, who was just explaining to us that maybe image does not matter too much, but actually the work that was done in this stipulated 5-year period that the governments get, I think that would play a major factor in swaying the votes of the people. And also about Manipur being a state powerhouse, Sir Al just mentioned that it is culturally imbibed that sports comes with as part of the package of life in Manipur, and that Manipur government have been doing extremely well in supporting sporting habits.